Day 310, Maccabean Revolt, 2 Maccabees 13, Wisdom 15 through 16, Proverbs 25 verses 15 through 17. Let's begin. 2 Maccabees 13. In the 149th year, Judas realized that Antiochus Eupator was coming with a multitude against Judea. And with him was Lysias, the procurator, who was in charge of the government, having with him 110,000 foot solders, 5,000 horsemen, and 22 elephants, and 300 swift chariots with curved blades. Menelaus also joined himself to them, and with many lies he pleaded with Antiochus, not for the welfare of his country, but hoping that he would be appointed as first ruler. But the King of Kings awakened the mind of Antiochus against the sinner. And when Lysias was suggesting this to be the cause of all the evils, he ordered, as is the custom with them, that he should be apprehended and killed in the same place. Now there was, in the same place, a tower of 50 cubits, having a pile of ashes on every side. This had a lookout over a precipice. From there, he ordered this sacrilegious one to be thrown down into the ashes, with all propelling him into the afterlife. And by such a law, it turned out that the betrayer of the law, Menelaus, died, not having so much as a burial in the earth. And indeed, this satisfied justice, for just as he had committed many offenses toward the altar of God, the fire and ashes of which are holy, so was he condemned to die in ashes. But the king, with his mind being unbridled, came to reveal himself as more wicked to the Jews than his father was. When Judas understood this, he instructed the people to call upon the Lord day and night, so that, just as always, now also he would help them. Of course, they were afraid to be deprived of their law and their country, and of the holy temple, and also that he might allow the people, who had recently taken a breath for a little while, to be again subdued by blasphemous nations. And so, having together done all these things, and having sought mercy from the Lord with weeping and fasting, lying prostrate on the ground continually for 3 days, Judas exhorted them to prepare themselves. In truth, with the elders he decided that, before the king could move his army into Judea and obtain the city, they would go out and commit the outcome of the event to the judgment of the Lord. And so, giving everything to God, the Creator of the world, and having exhorted his own to contend with fortitude and to stand up, even unto death, for the laws, the temple, the city, their country and the citizens, he positioned his army around Modin. And having given his own a sign of the victory of God, he attacked the quarters of the king by night, with the strongest chosen young men, and he slew 4,000 men in the camp, and the greatest of the elephants, along with those who would have been positioned on them. And so, having filled the camp of their enemies with the greatest fear and disturbance, they went away with good success. Now this was done at the first light of day, with the Lord assisting and protecting them. But the king, having received a taste of the audacity of the Jews, attempted to take the difficult places by craftiness. And so, he moved his camp to Bethzer, which was a fortified garrison of the Jews. But as he struck, he was put to flight and reduced in number. Then Judas sent necessities to those who were inside. But Rhodicus, a certain one from the Jewish army, reported the secrets to the enemies, so he was sought out, apprehended, and imprisoned. Again, the king held talks with those who were in Bethzer. He gave his right hand as a pledge, and accepted theirs, and he went away. He joined battle with Judas. He was overcome. But when he realized that Philip, who had been left out of these events, had rebelled at Antioch, he was in a consternation of mind, and begging the Jews, and being submissive to them, he swore to all things that seemed just. And, being reconciled, he offered sacrifice, honored the temple, and left gifts. He embraced Maccabeus, and he made him commander and leader from Ptolemais all the way to the Gerenians. But when he arrived at Ptolemais, the Ptolemaians considered the conditions of the alliance burdensome, being indignant lest perhaps they might break the pact. Then Lysias went up to the tribunal, and explained the reasons, and calmed the people, and so he returned to Antioch. And this is the way things went concerning the journey and return of the king. Wisdom 15:16. But you, our God, are gracious and true, patient, and in mercy ordering all things. And indeed, if we sin, we are yours, knowing your greatness. And if we do not sin, we know that we are counted with you. For to have known you is perfect justice, and to know justice and your virtue is the root of immortality. For the skillful planning of evil men has not led us into error, nor the shadow of a picture, a fruitless labor, an image having been sculpted through the use of diverse colors. The sight of which gives desire to the foolish, and he loves the likeness of a lifeless image without a soul. Deserving are the lovers of evil, those who hope in such things, and those who make them, and those who love them, and those who promote them. But even the potter, pressing laboriously, molds the soft earth into vessels, each one for our use. And from the same clay he molds vessels, those which are for clean use, and similarly, those which are for the opposite. But as to what is the use of a vessel, the potter is the judge. And with effort he molds an empty god of the same clay, he who a little before had been made from the earth, and after brief time, he himself returns from whence he came, to be claimed by he who holds the debt of his soul. Yet his concern is, not what his work will be, nor that his life is short, but that he is being contested by those who work with gold and silver, yet he also does the same to those who work with copper, and he glories that he makes worthless things. For his heart is ashes, and his hope is worthless dirt, and his life is more common than clay. Because he ignores the one who molded him, and who instilled in him a working soul, and who breathed into him a living spirit. Yet they even considered our life to be a plaything, and the usefulness of life to be the accumulation of wealth, and that we must be acquiring things in every possible way, even from evil. For, above all else, he knows himself to be lacking, who from fragile material of the earth forms vessels and graven images. For all the foolish and unhappy, in charge of the way of the arrogant soul, are enemies of your people and rule over them. Because they have esteemed all the idols of the nations as gods, which neither have the use of eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor the fingers of hands to grasp, and even their feet are slow to walk. For man made them, and he who borrowed his own breath, formed them. For no man will be able to form God in the likeness of himself. For, being mortal, he forms a dead thing with his unjust hands. Yet he is better than those things that he worships, because he indeed has lived, though he is mortal, but they never have. Moreover, they worship the most miserable animals, for, to make a foolish comparison, these others are worse. But not even from their appearance can anyone discern anything good in these animals. Yet they have fled from the praise of God, and from his blessing. Because of this, and by means of things similar to these, they were allowed to endure fitting torments, and they were exterminated by a multitude of beasts. Instead of these torments, you administered your people kindly, giving them a desire for a new taste from your delights, and preparing quails for their food. So that, even those desiring food, because of those things which were sent and revealed to them, were now turned away from a necessary desire. Yet these, after a brief time, having become weak, tasted a new food. For it was necessary, though they are without excuse, for them to unexpectedly come upon the ruin of exercising tyranny, yet this was as if to show them how their enemies were being exterminated. And so, when fierce beasts overcame them in anger, they were exterminated by the bites of perverse snakes. But your anger did not continue forever, though they were troubled for a short time for their correction. They have a sign of salvation as a remembrance of the commandment of your law. For he who turned to it was not healed by what he saw, but by you, the Savior of all. Yet in this you revealed to our enemies that you are he who delivers from all evil. For they were killed by the biting of locusts and flies, and there was found no remedy for their life, because they deserved to be destroyed by such things. But not even the teeth of venomous serpents conquered your sons, for your mercy came to them and healed them. For, in remembrance of your words, they were examined and were quickly saved, for forgetfulness is not engraved into your altar so that they would be unable to obtain your help. And indeed neither an herb nor a poultice healed them, but your word, O Lord, which heals all. For it is you, O Lord, who holds the power of life and death. You both lead to the threshold of death, and you restore. Yet man, indeed, kills his own soul through malice, and when his spirit goes forth, it will not be returned, nor will he call back his soul when it has been received. But it is impossible to escape your hand. For the impious, having refused to know you, have been scourged by the strength of your arm, enduring persecution by unusual waters, and by hailstorms, and by rainstorms, and being consumed by fire. For there was something extraordinary in water, which extinguishes all things. It has prevailed more than fire, for the world is the defender of the just. Indeed, at a certain time, the fire was subdued, so as not to burn away the animals, which were sent against the impious, and so that, in seeing this, they might know that they are suffering persecution by the judgment of God. And, at another time, fire burned beyond its own power, in the midst of water, and it flared up from all around, so as to destroy the nations of an unjust land. Instead of these things, you nourished your people with the food of angels, and having prepared bread from heaven, you served them without labor that which holds within itself every delight and the sweetness of every flavor. For your nature showed your sweetness, which you hold within your sons, and serving the will of each one, it was converted to what each one preferred. But snow and ice held back the strength of fire, and did not melt, so that they might know that fire, burning in the hail and flashing in the rain, destroyed the fruits of the enemies. Yet it was also the case, so that the just might be nourished, that fire had even been deprived of its own power. For the creature serving you, the Creator, grows red-hot in the midst of the conflict against the unjust, and yet it subsides for the benefit of those who trust in you. Because of this, and at that time, having been transfigured in all things, your grace was diligently serving as the nursemaid of all things, according to the will of those who long for you. So that your sons, whom you loved, O Lord, might know that it is not the fruits of nature which feed men, but your word, which preserves those who believe in you. For that which could not be destroyed by fire, was immediately melted when warmed by a few rays of the sun. So that it might be clear to all that it is right to come before the sun to bless you, and to adore you at the dawning of the light. For the hope of the ungrateful will melt away like the winter's ice and will disperse like overflowing water. Proverbs 25 verses 15 through 17. By patience, a leader shall be appeased, and a soft tongue shall break hardness. You have discovered honey, eat what is sufficient for you, lest perhaps, being filled up, you may vomit it. Withdraw your feet from the house of your neighbor, lest, when he has had his fill, he may hate you.